I was singing and then I was cutting myself because I was afraid of what came out of me just now. Like, and then what just happened? I don't usually sound like this. But then you realize that was good and I would like to repeat that.
Welcome to the SingWell Karaoke Show. I'm Lenore at your service. Today's topic is From Scared to Addicted. We talked to Emiliya, who tells us how she got from being scared of the neighbors to being addicted to those loud sounds that her body is producing. How did she do that? We have the letter of the day and then we have some singing because this is a singing show. Let's do this. Hi, I'm Lenore. I'm a singer and a voice teacher. Today I have Emiliya here in my studio. She's going to talk about the transformation she's made from being scared that other people might hear her, specifically the neighbors, to being actually addicted to making those loud sounds that she was afraid other people might hear and have all kinds of thoughts about, right? So she's gonna talk about that. We're gonna hear her sing at the beginning of her process. We have a recording from there, like her before picture, and then we're gonna have an after picture when she's gonna sing with me in the studio. We just whipped it up. After the interview, I just went to the piano and I read the chords from my phone, and she sang. So without further ado, let's go to my call with Emiliya. Hi Emiliya.
Hi.
I have Emiliya here, student of mine, and I wanted to talk about basically like a little journey that you've made since you started with me. And what I want to show is how can someone go from point A, not being able to do something, and then point B, being capable of doing that thing, or maybe things. So let's just start with how you're doing.
I'm doing fine. Well, I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here.
Yeah, so it's also an experiment for me. Haven't done this before. So yeah, I think if someone would relate also to my feelings or what I went through, I think that would be useful for some of people who are watching. So yeah, I would be happy just to share my story and
I know
to speak about that.
I know for a fact that there are a lot of people who start where you started. So let's talk about that a little bit. How would you describe the situation you were in singing-wise when you came to me?
Well, I liked singing at home, not in the shower, but at home. But always when no one is listening to me. I really loved singing, but I was always shy about it.
Why? Do you know?
I think it has to do something with confidence, or maybe with idea of not bothering other people. So yes, I have this little moment that I really like, but maybe others don't. So I was always putting it kind of postponing it.
Like your enjoyment is second priority to other people's comfort.
Yes, yeah. I would say that. And but the thing is that I used to sing when I was a teenager. And I also had some contests in my city, and that was going well, I think. But at some point there was an ensemble which I joined. It was popular music, and the teacher was saying that I'm singing something wrong, or like something is wrong with my nose or something, but she couldn't explain what, and that ruined a lot of confidence for me. I thought, okay, there is no path for me as a singer anymore.
How old were you?
13, 14, something like this.
Yes.
So
exactly. Yeah.
that blocked my path, let's say, and now when I was thinking about it more and more and more, I decided, okay, I would like to do that. Maybe I should give it a shot.
From my point of view, when you came to me, you always had a nice voice, a pretty voice, and it was very shy, right? So that's what you said about the confidence. That was physically impacting the voice in the beginning. So there was very little voice coming out, and there was of course some hesitation around it, which is very normal. And then what happened at some point when things started to change? So when you were not so shy and with not with that like tiny voice anymore.
Yeah. First of all, our very first or second lesson, you told me to go crazy and that we are here in this room, it's a safe place, I can go crazy, I can do whatever I want, I can behave and do like any kind of movement that can help me. And so I think that wasn't easy for me at the very beginning.
Of course
because
not.
I was still like, I didn't know where is the limit. I was still thinking that it should be in some kind of a norm. But as I started thinking more and more and more and rehearsing at home and allowing myself to either fool around with my sounds, this is when I started realizing that actually there was a moment where I can produce this sound and it sounds amazing, or I have an insight here, and altogether that helps to build the skill and also continue.
And tell me a little bit about
in the class.
Tell me a little bit about that allowing the sounds. That's something that we sometimes talk about. So what was that like? What does that mean to allow the sounds?
Well, there are a lot of mental games around singing, psychological games. So I think allowing yourself to produce whatever sound is also, releasing it as it is. To not have a certain expectation on how I should sound. I should sound beautiful. Well, there is no such a thing, and I think also this came out during our classes when you were telling me like, don't try to sing beautiful, just use your voice, be natural. And I think the important thing was that I found a way how I can relax, and I just be like, and then I sing whatever I want, and it just goes, and I like it.
What was the craziest moment in the beginning for you, when like that light bulb moment is like what you just said, like that was here it is?
I think there was a lot of moments like
Hi, let's take a little break from the call. I have something important to say. Did you know that you can also call the show and talk to me? I would love to hear from you if you are struggling with anything that has to do with singing, or if you went through some difficulties and came out the other end. I would love to have you on the show. All you have to do is go on my blog, SingWell.eu, and contact me through there. Keep in touch. Now let's get back to the show.
I was singing and then I was cutting myself because I was afraid of what came out of me just now. Like, and then what just happened? I don't usually sound like this. But then you realize that was good and I would like to repeat that. So this is when you start finding these moments and adding this into your song.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of courage to decide, okay, I was uncomfortable with that because I'm not familiar with that, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad sound.
Yeah.
Because it was comfortable, so let's just like be there for a moment.
Yeah.
Let's go there a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, it's not so bad.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes, I surprise myself. Sometimes I sound like very clean and loud, and this scares me. Like, who was that? But then I like it. I get addicted to this kind of moments. So now I'm just singing and playing with it, and.
Yeah, so that's quite a transition to go from being scared to like make any sound, to be scared to make different sounds, and now being addicted to making different sounds.
Yeah.
And the sounds that like rattle you or that shock you.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I also like how I found different dimensions in singing.
Okay, tell me about that.
So when I started exploring different sounds, it's not just to, I'm not just addicted to finding a new way of singing, but I'm addicted to the whole process. So noticing what's happening inside my mouth, my throat, my body, my shoulders, what's in my stomach, and this kind of thing. So you start perceiving not just the sound, but your whole body, and also how this exists in the space, and also how the airflow goes through all the tubes and muscles and everything that you have. And this is the moment when you also kind of connect with the rest of the world. So I guess that's this is what are the dimensions, because it's not just about the technique or noticing a mistake or something. It's really like a whole process, and there are so many corners in your body which you will find, and focusing on one thing or another will also allow different sounds and different mood, and the way you will do it.
Yeah, that's actually very similar to the process that I went through. So just the ability to develop that awareness to a new part of the instrument or a new part of the body that I didn't think was involved, just that on its own was very satisfying. And when you talk about that, by the way, you ooze charisma. Like you can go on TED Talks now and give a lecture about this, because it's funny because you're talking about exploring, you're talking about developing something that is like in the making. It's not arrived yet, but you look like you're an expert on it. Like you feel confident in it. And I think that's like, if people can get to that point, then it sounds like contentment to me.
I'm like, the highest moment of happiness was when I first heard the resonance in my ears, like popping ears. I was like, oh my God, I like this. Can I do it again?
It's like a little high.
Yeah.
A little high moment. Yeah, I remember you told me about that. Like, I'm going around the house and popping my ears.
Yeah. Making my boyfriend very annoyed.
So that's something that also maybe we can talk about. The getting comfortable with other people hearing you. How did you get over that?
I think that's also thanks to your lessons, because I was sharing my thoughts with you that I am shy to rehearse at home because my neighbors can hear, or my boyfriend is doing something, I don't want to bother him. And you said something like, they should be grateful that you are listening to you. It's really nice what you're doing. So I got that mentality, and now I don't care. now I just like,
wow.
Now I just think, well, of course.
So you just believed me when I told you that they should be grateful?
Of course.
Wow.
Of course.
That's an honor that someone actually listens to me once in a while. Yeah, because it's difficult for people to believe that.
Yeah, I think I needed some push and some support. Also.
I believe it about. Yeah, most people, when they come to lessons, they already have a voice, and it usually sounds nice. The minority of cases is the one that sounds really bad, or it doesn't, like the voice doesn't come out at all, and you really need to, like, as I said, crack them open and like yank it out of them. But mostly it's not the case. Mostly they just have nice voices and they're shy or insecure, and so I tell them that, and they don't really feel that. So you took a leap of faith with me on that, and that it made all the difference, I think.
I think I was in the right moment also, that I wanted to explore, and I was open to whatever will come out of this. So just like, okay, maybe indeed people should be grateful that I'm singing here super loud. Well, of course, Sometimes I stop. I don't don't do it all the time.
Yeah, well, we're all human. Sometimes I do all my like crazy tricks when I use noises and very funny sounds, which are just vocal tricks. But I know that it sounds horrible, and I have to sort of like talk myself into it. And it's like, it's okay, nobody cares, and even if they care, it doesn't matter. And like I have to tell this stuff to myself as well sometimes, because it's not normal to start going like nah, just doing stuff that indirectly helps you sing better.
Yep.
But nobody like on the outside is going to understand, why is she doing that? Why is she making those sounds? But yeah, it's definitely a part of the process, and it's worth it. Yep. So how would you describe something that you think you have achieved now?
I would say I got more freedom in the way how I express myself. I also discovered my voice, and I also thought about this from the perspective that I'm not just shy when I sing, I'm also shy in life. And when I discovered this kind of tricks during singing, that I can actually release more, and that would be great, and it's fun, and I'm also applying this in my personal life now, that I'm becoming more confident with other things too. And it's just about your self-expression and who you are, how you behave, what you allow. You're not afraid of doing something new, and this kind of things. So, yeah.
So having a voice is both figurative and literal.
Yes.
In your case,
you have your voice, yes.
And you express yourself.
Yeah.
Just in general, you can express yourself now.
And I'm discovering my potential as well. And when this is in your mind, you start also thinking, yeah, that's actually about everything in life. And yeah, there are no limits. You just, explore. You go for it.
Wow, amazing. I'm curious if you would like to listen to an early recording of yours.
Mm-hmm. I have.
Because that would be really cool to compare where you were and where you are now.
Yeah, might sound ugly for others, but
but that's all the better, right? Because we're gonna also show where you have arrived.
Mm-hmm.
So is that from one of the first lessons?
Yes.
True as it can be.
Nice. By the way, the piano playing is mine, and it's so good. I think it should win an award. It was amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel listening to that?
I like coming back to this recording because I also hear all the hesitation in my voice. When I didn't, I was trying to follow the piano as well. Also looking for should I continue or should I not? Also preparing myself for the big jumps when I was singing ever just the same, and then just do I have enough air? And I hear a lot that I'm also limiting my voice in some of the parts of the song. And when I hear it, I also feel it, because I remember that moment when I was singing it. And so I remember that at that moment, I didn't have this craziness or this wild monkey, how I like to call it
wild monkey,
in my case.
You called it wild monkey.
Yeah. So that, I don't have that yet. I'm still like, trying to sound beautiful.
Still, the voice is there. It's very clear.
Yeah.
So you can hear a little bit of hesitation, you can hear a little bit of shakiness, but you can hear that there is a voice. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I think this when I realized that's my voice. I don't have to beautify it. I can use my voice to sing.
And already like after 3 lessons or after 2 lessons you were able to do that. In the beginning I think it was even less than that you were displaying.
Yeah, I would say so.
I wish you had a recording of that. That would be like a real...
I didn't do that at the beginning because
I should like force my students to record the first lesson. Okay, well, Emiliya, thank you for telling all of that. I think it's really valuable and important for people to hear. And it's good for me to hear. I've never heard you talk about what you went through in this detail, so it's good for me to know what was helpful for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and it was a pleasure to share.
And we will see each other soon.
Yes, true.
Okay. Bye. After talking to Emiliya about her journey, I tried to distill the changing moment for her. What made the change for her possible? How did she come from really hiding her voice to blissfully and happily displaying it and looking for more and more of it? And I think it boils down to a couple of points. First of all, she said she was ready for it. So she wasted enough of her life, if you want to look at it a bit cynically, to just be ready to make a change. And she knew somehow that it would take some courage. She knew that would be not comfortable. She would have to go to her uncomfortable zone. And she was ready for that. She wanted something like that. Apparently, she'd had enough of hiding herself and putting herself and her voice down. And then it was just the right moment when she met me and I told her a couple of things. First of all, I told her to go crazy and that it's a good thing to go crazy and weird. And the second is that the neighbors whose opinion she was afraid of should be grateful. I really believe that, by the way, because I believe that. I believe that if you're singing, then everybody should be applauding you. That's what I think. Yeah, because singing should be encouraged, and especially if it's nice singing, right? That definitely should be encouraged. So I told her, your neighbors should be grateful, but here is the game changer. She believed me. Most people who hear that from me, which is all of my students who come to me and say that they're afraid of the neighbors, and again, had I had a nickel, if you need some passive income, figure out a way to get a nickel for every time you hear someone afraid of the neighbors hearing them when they're singing, and afraid to practice loud in their own home. So I hear that a lot. That pisses me off because I was that person too. So most people, when I tell them that their voice is nice and they should explore it and they should find more dimensions and more volume in it, and that it's okay if somebody hears them because that's actually a good thing, they don't really believe me. And if I tell them that they sound good, they don't believe me either. They think it's because they're paying me or whatever. But here's the thing, even if I say that because you're paying me, which is not the case, if you just be like Emiliya and take me on my word and just go for it, that's what you discover. You discover your own voice. And isn't that everything? Like, I cannot tell you what discovering my voice did to me. It changed me. So it's not just about the fact that I have a career in singing and teaching voice right now. It's really yourself from the inside coming out. It's like a coming out. Even if you're not, coming out of the closet, you're coming out in some way. It's liberating. And it's important. So I hope you all learn from Emiliya and do what she did. You won't regret it. And on that note, we're going to go to the letter of the day. And after that, don't go anywhere because we will have Emiliya singing Beauty and the Beast again. So the letter of the day comes from, let's call her Sage. And Sage asks, I just did the warm-up. Should the warm-ups be done at a certain time each day? I've been awake for only 1.5 hours, but I'm excited and anxious to learn. Thank you. So that's an interesting question, and I understand why you ask it, because our body behaves differently in different parts of the day. And I don't know how long it takes you to wake up and feel energized and up to it, or are there things that you can do to accelerate the process of your body being awake and up to it, right? But in order to sing, indeed, you need to have some kind of composure so that you will have the energy and motivation to start working with your body. If you're a morning person and you get up and you're all fired up and just happy, then you can just start, go brush your teeth and start singing. I don't care. If you're one of those who get up and can barely move themselves and it takes them a long time to even just open their eyes and understand where they are, it is very reasonable that you will need 1.5 hours before you start singing, maybe even more. I started doing cold showers. I cannot tell you how amazing that is. It just gives me energy for 4 or 5 hours on end. Give it a shot. Maybe it will help you if you need that. Pavarotti, by the way, the famous late tenor, said that he needs 6 hours to sleep at night, but his voice needs 10. I thought it was really funny because it says it all. Like, as a human being, as a whole, you can function on a certain amount of sleep, but sometimes in order to start getting to sing, to get the vocal cords to close, to get like the body to open up, you need a little bit longer than that. So I would try a shower. I would try, maybe a cup of coffee. I would do a bodywork session. I always recommend starting before you warm up, starting with a bodywork session. So either yoga or Pilates or anything that will open up your body from the chest up, release from the chest up, ground from the waist down, okay? From the pelvis down. And most bodywork methods or body awareness methods do that in their own way. So you do a little bit of that. That in and of itself will give you a feeling of an open body, and you can start working with it and warming up and starting to sing. So I hope that helps. It doesn't matter when in the day you do it, as long as you have an open, free body and the proper motivation. If you struggle with motivation, you should check out my article, How to Practice Singing, and I give a practice structure there, because motivation is, as you know, many times lack of clarity, because you just need to know what you're going to do next. So I hope that you'll be able to use that, and thank you for the question. So moving on to my improvised performance with Emiliya. After the interview, I went to the piano and read the chords from my little phone. That was a struggle, but she was just her lovely self and singing. So thank you for watching for today, and now enjoy the song.
Tale as old as time, true as it can be, barely even France that somebody bent unexpectedly. Just a little change, small to say the least, both a little scared, neither one prepared. Beauty and the Beast, ever just the same, ever as surprise, ever as before, ever just as sure as the sun will rise, certain as the sun rising in the east, tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast, tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast.
Fun!